is the concept of engagement, active engagement in a civic democracy through agonistic politics. So that you debate two sides of an issue. One person thinks one way, one person thinks another way. You come together, they talk, and there is a vote by a majority. That's the history of debate in this country. And then it went into the colleges, because those are the people that are going to be our future decision makers. So it only makes sense to bring those people into college. But what was the problem? Not everybody that's represented in the United States is represented in the deliberative progress, right? And so you have black debaters and you have white debaters. And so just like you have black colleges and white colleges, those people had debating societies. You follow what I'm saying? So what did they do? Well, they had a process that says that They had a process that said that the way in which we were going to debate is one school, say I'm Harvard, I want to debate Yale, I call them up, I mail them a letter and say we're going to debate this topic. And we want to be affirmative, you want to be negative, or you want to debate the pro of this issue, I want to debate the con of this issue. They come together, they invite real decision makers like in the community. People that are experts, people that are lawmakers, etc. And they came together and they would listen to these two debating societies square off, their two best debaters. And then they would make a decision. Everybody seen The Great Debaters? Yes. Okay, that was pretty much the format. Then those became like debate society leagues. So that the same teams that were challenging each other and the same teams that were meeting up in certain places started to do that every so often, and everybody would have 8 debates. And then at the end, whoever had the best record would be put into a pile to say, who's the best team from around the country? Everybody would take a vote on it. They would show up at a neutral location. They would have a debate, and that would be decided by like whoever their committee was, and they would debate the two sides of the issue, and that would determine the national champion. Now the black college is saying, we want to do the same thing. We're going to be the mirror image, but even in our little segregated issue. So the segregation of those mean they debated different issues. Right? They debated and deliberated over different things. And so this is where Wiley College and all that kind of stuff came out of. And so this is where I'm going to kind of begin, just to kind of give you that history, right? So, let me see. Where did this come from? The griots. You never heard what a griot is? Oral tradition. This is something that I heard a lot of people refer to. A lot of the African chants that was coming out of a lot of those spits that you heard is coming from the idea of going back to the ancestors, going back to the ancient oral tradition of how participatory democracy and real agonism actually worked within a deliberative framework. The griots were the Dales or the Deles, the historians, the storytellers, the praise singers, the advisors to royalty, and the arbitrators. And a lot of people don't know that. A lot of people just think griots are the storytellers that just defer to oral traditions and African history, and that's not true. They were the deliberators in the African communities of a participatory, democratic society, where everybody had a vote. But what people would do is that they would defer to the stories that these people were telling that were rooted within the history of their people, and then make a decision and vote. And a lot of these people were very persuasive. A lot of these people would have these huge meetings where people would just gather around and listen to the griot tell the stories of the ancient thing. And then they would decide whether or not we're going to dig a new river, whether or not we're going to join up with this village or something. And based off of that history that the griots was telling, that informed them of what was the proper decision to make. And usually, somebody sacrificed and voted until it was unanimous. But this is one of the oldest professions that still exist in Africa to this day. There's still griots in Africa to this day. Still. And it's not written. The history of oral debate and deliberation and agonism within African society is not written down. It's spoken. It's oral. So what does that mean? When you talk about the history of black debate, you're automatically talking about the stylistic choices, the persuasive emotional appeal to audiences to decide a certain way. You are deliberating in a participatory democracy that's based off an ancient practice in Africa that has existed for many, many years and still exists to this day. Black people, and I will say it, debate differently. is not to arrive at a written piece of evidence or written, it's to defer to the oral traditions and experiences of the ancestors, those that came before you. And that's the way it's been for centuries. Okay? And so I don't make this up. So that's the first foundation, that's the first groundwork. All right, we're going to move on.